Hi all, in today's class we are going to discuss about simple stresses. So before starting the subject design of machine elements 1, we are supposed to have some basics related to stresses. So without knowing about different stresses that are developed in different machine components, we will not be able to study this subject effectively and will not be able to apply the concept in real engineering problems. We are all familiar with the term stress. From the third semester itself, we have studied the topic mechanics of solids. In that, we have already came across with this topic stress. What is actually meant simply by the term stress? It is the resistance offered by a body against deformation. So usually when students are asked about stress, they will simply say it as force divided by area. But that is not an exact definition for stress. So what is the definition of stress? It is the resistance offered by a body against deformation. If you are trying to bend a small rod or trying to change the shape of a component, then it shows some resistance, and it is by virtue of strength of the component. So by virtue of that strength, if you are trying to deform the body, it shows some resistance. So this resistance is called as stress. Also we can say it as the intensity of resistance per unit area. So when a component is being deformed, it produces some resistance, and the resistance of that body per unit area may be called as stress. There are different types of stress that are being developed in the component. So now we will just classify those stresses. At first we will classify it into two categories: normal stresses and shear stress. So consider a body like this. If you are applying a force on one of its faces, assume that the body is fixed here, then some stress will develop inside this body. Since the direction of force is perpendicular to the surface, we will say the stress developed in the body as a normal stress due to this applied force F. If we are applying a force along its surface, then there is a tendency for the body to get deformed or to get shear off. So due to the application of a tangential force, there occurs some shear stress. So if you are applying a force on a surface perpendicular to it, then it creates some normal stresses, and if you are applying a force along the surface, then it can create shear stress inside the body. Then again we can classify these normal stress and shear stress. One type of normal stress is tensile. Then the other type is bending. So let us consider a body like this, and we are applying a force F like this. So this is a tensile force, and due to this force the material gets stressed, and the type of stress acting on that body is called as tensile stress. So if you are considering a section at here, it will be showing some stresses at this particular section, and we can show it using the symbol sigma. So usually normal stresses or tensile stress are being represented using the symbol sigma. If the direction of this applied force gets reversed, what happens? If you are applying the force like this, then the body gets compressed. So a compressive stress is developed inside the body. If you are taking a section, then we can see a stress on this portion. So I have just marked it like acting in the negative direction. So tensile stress and compressive stress are normal stresses. The stress acts normal to the plane. Okay, so here we have considered one plane and the stress is acting normal to that plane. Here also we have considered another plane and the stress is acting normal to that plane. Then another type of normal stress is bending stress. We will represent it using the symbol sigma B, bending stress. Let us consider a cantilever beam like this, and if we are applying a force F at its free end, then it will get bent like this, isn't it? So during bending, some stress is being developed inside this beam. So let us consider a beam like this. Then also we will mark an axis at the middle. This axis is called as neutral axis. That means stress along that plane is equal to 0. So when this beam gets bent, what happens? some layers above the neutral axis gets compressed and the layers below the neutral axis gets elongated. So there is a compressive stress acting above the neutral axis and a tensile stress is acting below the neutral axis if the beam is bending like this. If the beam bends in the opposite direction, then the stresses experienced are reversed. So the fibers above the neutral axis will be experiencing a tensile stress and the fibers below the neutral axis will be experiencing a compressive stress. Okay, so we will just mark the stresses like this. The body is being bent in the upward direction. The compressive stresses will be acting on the top side layers and tensile stress will be acting in the bottom side layers. Here also the stresses are normal to the section. So here we have considered a particular section along this beam and different types of stresses are being produced like this. Okay, so close to the neutral axis the stress value will be very less, and if you are going away from the neutral axis the stress value will be high. This is how bending stresses are developed in a beam. So we are all familiar with the bending equation. M by I is equal to sigma B by Y is equal to E divided by R. So in this equation, capital M is the bending moment, I is the moment of inertia, sigma B is the bending stress, Y is the distance from neutral axis to the outermost layer. Then E is the Young's modulus and R is the radius. From this bending equation, by taking the first part M by I is equal to sigma B by Y, we can derive an equation for bending stress like this. Bending stress sigma B is equal to M by I into Y, where M is the bending moment, I is the moment of inertia and Y is the distance towards the outermost layer from the neutral axis. So if you know the values of different parameters, then we will be able to calculate the stress value. So if we are considering a cantilever beam like this with a circular cross section and we are applying a force F like this, let small l be the length of this cantilever beam, then we will get the bending moment as force into perpendicular distance F into L, the moment of inertia I pi d raised to 4 by 64, and the Y value, the distance from neutral axis to the outermost layer, becomes like radius d by 2, radius of this rod. So by substituting these values we will get an equation for the bending stress like sigma B is equal to M divided by the value of moment of inertia is pi d raised to 4 by 64, Y is equal to d by 2, so it becomes 32 M divided by pi d cube. So this is one of the equation which you are supposed to know, and it is very important while doing problems and all. Then the moment, in this case the equation comes like force into length. According to the requirement of the problem it gets changed, so we will consider this as a reference equation, 32 times M divided by pi d cube. If the cross section of the beam gets changed, if it is of rectangular type, then the moment of inertia I becomes BD cube by 12. So according to the shape of the cross section we have to consider the equation for moment of inertia. These are the different types of normal stresses that are being developed in the components. Now we will just look at the shear stresses. So we will classify shear stresses like direct shear and torsional shear stress. How this direct shear stress occurring? We are using the Greek symbol tau to denote the direct shear stress, and we will write it as the ratio of shear force and shear area. If you are cutting a component like this by using a knife, we will be applying a force F at here. So along this line we will be applying some force using a knife. Let F be that force. Then it gets cut along this area. So the body gives some resistance towards the cutting. Due to that, this type of stress is developed. Okay, so F is the shear force, and here we can see the shear area also. This is how shear stress is developed inside a body. The next type is torsional shear stress. This is also denoted as tau. So let us consider a beam with a circular cross section and assume that it is fixed at one end, and if we are applying a torque, or if we are twisting one end of this rod, a stress is developed inside this body, and it is called as torsional shear stress. We are all familiar with the torsion equation. T by J is equal to tau by R, which is equal to G theta by L. This is the torsion equation. So what are the different terms? T is the torque, J is the polar moment of inertia, tau is the shear stress itself, R is the radius of the rod. So usually circular rods are being used to transmit torque, or shafts are usually of circular cross sections. That is why we are directly using the radius. Then what is G? G is the modulus of rigidity, and theta is the angle of twist, and L is the length of the shaft or the rod. So by using torsion equation, the first part of this equation, we will derive an equation for torsional shear stress. So we are having the equation like T by J is equal to tau by R. In this equation, J is the polar moment of inertia, and its equation comes like pi d raised to 4 by 32. In the case of circular cross section, the polar moment of inertia equation comes like this. Then R is the radius, that is diameter by 2. By substituting these equations, we will derive an equation for shear stress like 16T divided by pi d cube. This is the basic equation you are supposed to know. By using this equation, we will calculate the torsional shear stress. So usually the stress comes like the intensity of internal resistance per unit area, that is force by area, and its unit comes like Newton per meter square. Then what are the other type of units? Sometimes we will use the unit Newton per millimeter square. While doing the engineering problems, we will be mentioning the length values in mm. So it will be better to use the unit like Newton per millimeter square. Otherwise it will be represented as megapascal. Both are same. So if you are converting the unit, it comes like Newton per 10 raised to minus 6 meter square. Then we can write it like 10 raised to 6 Newton per meter square, that is 10 raised to 6 Pascal. And it can also be written as megapascal. Okay, so you should be aware of these unit conversions. So basically Newton per millimeter square or megapascal is used as the unit of stress. So that's all for today. Thank you all.